Afternoon. This is the first launch outside Bangalore for Ather as an organization and the Ather 450, and we are very happy that the city is the city where we started, Chennai. Today our session will be hosted by Tarun, our CEO, and Ravneet, our Chief Business Officer. I will not hold you back and hold them back from the session. Once again, thanks a lot for coming for this session.
We launched in Bangalore last year, and I'm quite proud that the second city that we are coming to is Chennai, because this is where everything started for us. This is where Ather was born. So today we're going to talk about a few topics. We're going to talk about India going electric, why that's become inevitable and pretty obvious now. We're going to talk a little bit about Ather's journey, how we started, how the last 5 years have been before we come back to the city. We're going to talk about the product, and finally our future plans and the launch in Chennai. So first, a little bit about the electric vehicle market. We've been hearing a lot about, in the last few months especially, electric has certainly become very, very exciting, right? But this is not for no reason. There have been a lot of very solid reasons around the product, around the cost and the economics of all of it that have made electric uniquely perfect for the two-wheeler market in the country today. I'm going to just lay a bunch of data points that sort of give you that sense why electric makes so much sense today. First, electric is basically very, very compelling for a variety of reasons. First reason is around the product itself. A typical electric two-wheeler for the same power level will always be about 25 to 30% faster, 25 to 30% quicker. It'll have a better acceleration than a comparable petrol scooter. And you can see that in the specs of the 450 compared to any 110cc petrol scooter in the market. In fact, the power level of a 450 is actually a little less than that of a typical petrol scooter. Despite that, the acceleration of the 450 is significantly better than any 110cc petrol scooter. An electric has 100% torque available right from the word go. Right? No petrol vehicle today in the market can ever match that. And that's not unique about Ather. That's actually an electric vehicle trait. When you have so much torque available, that is why you can pull up that kind of an acceleration level right from word go. And which is why electric is known for its zippiness, which customers really, really enjoy. 90% lesser moving parts. Actually, the number is even more than that. An electric vehicle has far, far lower number of moving parts than a typical petrol scooter. What this implies, it implies a far higher amount of reliability on an electric drivetrain compared to a petrol vehicle. A lot of us, because we haven't seen great electric products in the market, actually might worry that, what is the life of an electric vehicle going to be like? But if you think about it, electric vehicle is fundamentally three things. It is a motor, which is an extremely stable technology. Motors don't derate, motors don't slow down, motors don't lose efficiency over even a decade worth of performance, even more usually. There's a charger, which is a piece of electronics, electrical hardware that has been perfected over decades and decades of work. And third is a battery, which as time is going by, every year the performance is improving. So there's fundamentally very few things in electric vehicle that need regular maintenance. So electric vehicles have a far higher amount of reliability than any petrol or diesel product in the market. The second vertical is the cost of ownership. This is easily understandable. A typical electric scooter will be about 7 times cheaper to run than a petrol scooter. Right? And this is data from actually on the field. In the field, this is what today 450 customers spend. About 30 paise per kilometer instead of a 2 rupees per kilometer for typical petrol scooter. The difference is huge, and because most of us will spend more money in running the vehicle than the vehicle cost itself, this is a difference that matters a lot, especially in a market like India. Second thing, electric vehicles, given the extremely high reliability here, have a lower cost of maintenance. typically you will spend almost half the cost in maintaining an electric vehicle. Given that you don't have to worry about oil changes or oil filters or scrubbers or carburetors or any of these components, the total cost of repair and maintenance of an electric vehicle is far lower, giving you a better running cost. The third vertical is the product cost itself. Over the last few years, the cost of things that go inside an electric vehicle has been constantly falling down. And the most prominent that everybody's heard about again and again is the cost of the battery. Over the last 10 years, the cost of a lithium-ion battery pack has fallen by 5 times. It's an immense fall and possibly the single biggest reason why electric vehicles have suddenly become extremely lucrative and extremely sensible for the end consumer. Going from something like $1,000 a kilowatt hour to $200 a kilowatt hour, this is now starting to reach levels where a lithium-ion battery pack is about the same price as a lead-acid battery pack. At these price levels, it is becoming extremely viable once scale comes in to price an electric vehicle closer to a petrol scooter. Which is why, like even if I go 5 years back when we started Ather, a lot of the things that we did was a bet. But now with the current battery prices, a lot of this has become real fact. It's become extremely viable to launch an electric vehicle in the country today. Second thing, 50% fewer components. Electric vehicles has not just lesser moving part, it has just generally lower number of components than a petrol vehicle. What this translates into is it implies a lower capex for assembly, it implies a faster assembly and hence a lower assembly cost, a benefit that again gets passed on to the customers. Electric vehicles manufactured at scale will cost lesser to manufacture and assemble than a typical petrol vehicle. And the fourth vertical is sustainability. Today, and a lot of you might actually have this question, so we're sort of preempting this. We charge electric vehicles using the Indian grid and it's not all clean, so what's the point? There is a huge point. Even if you use our Indian average grid, which is almost 70% thermal power generation and coal power generation and only 30% is renewable, despite using that grid, the emissions of running an Ather 450, which is a pretty powerful scooter, compared to a typical 110cc petrol scooter, almost a 3 times difference. And this number will only keep improving as our grid gets cleaner and cleaner every year. We are adding 150 gigawatt hour of renewables capacity over the next 4 to 5 years. That will make this number even better. This number will go down to something like 15 to 18 grams per kilometer over the next few years. So whatever way you cut it, and by the way, if you use solar to power your electric vehicles, it's zero. So the emissions, the CO2 emissions from a typical petrol vehicle, electric vehicle are going to be dramatically lower, even if you use the Indian national grid. So you don't have to worry about it. Second thing, and this is actually very less discussed, so we wanted to add this here, lesser heat generated. So what you don't realize is that a typical petrol combustion engine will have a 25 to 28% efficiency on average. A typical electric drivetrain will be 85 to 90% efficient. What this means is that a petrol scooter will burn off 70% of its energy in heat. A typical electric motor will burn off 10% of its energy in heat. That extra efficiency difference, where does it go? It goes in heating the engine. It goes in heating the vehicle. And that heat over millions and millions of vehicles on our roads today adds up. So today our cities have two problems. First, we are emitting more carbon, which increases the average temperature. But the second reason, which is not discussed enough, is that we are heating our vehicles like crazy. All those vehicles, millions of vehicles on the road, add up a lot of heat and actually heat up a city significantly. Tomorrow, if magically all vehicles became electric, our cities would immediately cool down. And that's a very big impact that is actually not discussed enough. You take all these points together, electric basically implies a better product,